everyone, it's Chris. I am back. I have been gone for such a long time. I haven't uploaded any videos and I haven't even been on my channel for months and months and months. I thought I would go ahead and tell you guys a story time. A couple different actually story times, and they're gonna be about my weird experiences with old men. And before anybody out there gets offended, like, I'm not hating on anyone here in particular. I just, for some reason, I have really weird luck with old men. I don't know why. And actually, before I start telling this story, let me just go ahead and tell you, like, something really random. That's my dog. If you hear something in the background, that's my dog. My dad, actually, he is 53. My dad is 53 years old. I'm pretty sure he's 53. I'm sorry. Dad, if you're watching this, I don't know why I cannot remember your age. Sorry. And one year, he had an accident at work, and he ended up tearing one of his tendons on his finger, and so he had to go to the hospital and get surgery done for it and everything. And while I was there, I was waiting for him to get out of surgery, and I was waiting in his room, and this nurse comes in and she's like, "Oh, are you his wife?" No. I don't think I look that old. I'm sorry, Dad. You're not old. I'm just saying I don't think that I look like I'm 50 years old. Okay, but I might. Who knows? Anyways, that's just a preface to this story time. I actually have a couple of different story times involving this. The very, very first time that I have had this really weird luck with old men was I used to work at that grocery store. If you guys have watched my I Was Scammed story time, which I will link down below or put an annotation here or something, I don't know, whatever. If you guys have watched that video, you know that I worked at this grocery store and I was just a cashier. I was sitting, it wasn't really busy that day, and so this guy randomly comes up to me and there was this guy, and he looked like he was about my dad's age. He looked like he was about 50, 60 years old. My dad's not 60. I need you to get off, son. You know, getting his stuff, and he's checking out or whatever, and I'm ringing him up, I'm making conversation. I'm like, "Yeah, so you're from Nevada? That's great. Like, what are you doing way out here, you know?" And we were just talking, things were normal, like, I didn't think anything of it. But at the end of his transaction, he, like, looked at me all weird, and he was just like, "So, here you go, there's my number in case you ever want to call me or anything." And I was like, "I'm sorry, I'm actually 17 years old. And he was like, "Oh, well, you know, in case you ever want to talk to me or whatever, like, we can hit things up." And I was just like, "Okay, sounds great." My face was like burning red. I don't know why. Then I actually worked as a security guard not too long ago. It was actually the beginning of last year. And I do not look anything like a security guard, but for some reason they hired me. And I was working at this site. I was just watching the cameras, just looking at the badge scans, nothing crazy. And there was this guy that every time that I worked there, he would come up and talk to me, and he had this really, like, awesome Texan accent. He would always tell me about his wife and his kids and how he loves Texas and he can't wait to go back and all this stuff. And I was like, "That's great. Awesome for you, like, dude. Like, yeah, that's cool." And I was just being friendly, and I was just being friendly. And so I didn't think anything of it. And then I ended up quitting that job and going to a different job. And on my last day of doing this security guard job, this guy actually came up to me, and he was like, he looked really, really nervous, first of all. And he was like, kept going like this and just like being all nervous about everything. And so I was like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "Do you have a notepad?" And I was like, "Sure." And so I like handed him a notepad, and he's like, "Do you have a pen?" And so I handed him a pen, and he got like really red in the face, and then he started like writing something down on this notepad, and I was just like, "Oh, maybe he just like needs to make a grocery list or something, like something normal. So he finishes writing whatever he was writing, and then he tears off the note, and I expected him to just walk out of there like a normal person, but instead he gives it to me, and he's like, here you go, that's my Texas phone number, you know, if you ever want to go on a date or anything with me, that'd be great. And I was like, okay. I don't know how to act in these situations. At the time, I had a boyfriend, and he clearly was married, and he clearly had kids, and he clearly was giving me this phone number and asking me out on a date. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks. And he's just like, and he's like walking off like backward. He like hits the door or whatever on his way out, and he just like leaves, and I'm like, so I was like really flabbergasted or gabberflasted, whatever, however you say that word, gabberflasted, I don't know. And so as a security guard, I was able to look up everybody, all of the employees in the company on the computer. And so I looked him up just to like double check that he was married and stuff. And so I looked him up. Sure enough, it had his wife's information for like an emergency contact. It had, and it also had his birthday. And it was like from 1965 or something like that. I was like, holy crap, dude, you're like old. You're so much older than me. At the time, I was 19 years old, and it was like, I don't think I look that old. That's my thing. I need you guys to comment down below and tell me if I look like I'm older than 30 years old, because I get all these old guys. I'm sorry, that's kind of rude. I get a bunch of older gentlemen trying to hit on me and handing me their phone numbers and all this stuff, and I just don't know how to handle it. Okay, last story, little mini story time of this weird phenomenon that's like going on in my head and in my life is I currently work as a receptionist at a pipeline company, and usually on Fridays though, everybody leaves at like 2 o'clock. And by 2 o'clock, like, everybody's gone, but I have to stay there until 5:30, because just in case anybody calls or anybody comes in and asks for something. And usually, like, the stray person will walk in and be like, hey, do you guys have any applications? And I'll be like, sorry, it's online. And then they kind of like, oh, okay, and then they leave. So this particular Friday, everybody had gone except for one of the vice presidents. So on this particular day, I was just like so excited to leave. It was like 4 o'clock by this time, like sometime close to when I was supposed to leave. And this older gentleman who looks like he's about like late 50s, early 60s at the most, he comes in, he's wearing this ginormous cowboy hat, first of all, and he's walking in and he's just muttering something, and I don't know what he's muttering, and he's going, and I'm just like, hi, how are you? Welcome to blank, you know. And he's like, job. I'm sorry, what? He like put his hands on the counter and he's like, where do I put my name down so I can get, and I'm sorry for saying an accent, like I don't want anyone to get offended, but this is how he sounded. Where can I put my name down so I can get an interview here? Oh, well, have you applied online yet? And he just kind of looks at me and he's like, no, ma'am, I haven't. Well, you know, you would have to apply. The application is online at www, and before I even finished the sentence, he's like, I don't do that crap. And he like turns around, and as he's turning around to walk out the door, I was like, okay, see ya, have a good day. I don't know, I just felt like that's a little bit rude. I have a little candy jar that I brought to the office, and I just put chocolates or whatever in there so that people can take some if they want some. I was on his way out, and he like stops at the door, and he turns around, and he's like, oh, first I'm gonna take a candy, and he's like, what should I get? And he's like looking around, and he's looking up at me too. And so I was wearing a nice, decent shirt. It was, you know, the sleeves were about here. And like it was a v-neck, so it came down about to here, and for me, like, that's a little bit low, but I was wearing like a tank top underneath so that you couldn't like see any cleavage or anything. And you know, it's just a shirt, like it's just a shirt. This guy like as he's looking through the chocolate bars, he kept looking up at me and looking like down at my boobs. And so like I kind of like glanced down and I realized that like the tank top had kind of fallen a little bit. So I was like, and this old man is just, he finally just says like, none of this interests me. And then he looks towards the vice president's office and he's like, you should tell him to get you guys some lollipops. And I was like, well, actually, I'm the one that gets the candy. And he's like, yes, you do. And he winks at me again, and he looks down at my boobs again. Ugh. It was just so awkward. It was so awkward. Finally, he's just like, okay, thanks, ma'am. I'm gonna go apply now. And I was like, okay, have a great day. And he looks one more time down at, you know, the girls, and then he like winks at me again and then leaves. So this was just such a weird experience to me because I feel like usually people will find lovers or partners that are close to their same age, right? Well, does that mean that I look like I'm 60? Does that mean that I look like I'm 40 or 50 years old? All of these guys that have hit on me, the only guys that ever hit on me, are past their 40s. What the heck? Anyways, those are my story times for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I didn't really like plan them or anything, so if they were a little bit like scatterbrained or something, that's probably why. And I hope to be able to be uploading some more videos soon. Make sure to comment, rate, and subscribe, and like this video and tell me how I'm doing. And please, like I'm being serious, comment down below and tell me whether or not I look like I'm 40 years old. And oh! Random side note, somebody came and knocked on the door and I thought that it was somebody else, so like I opened it and it was like some other guy and he was like asking me a bunch of questions or whatever, and like I knew him, so it wasn't weird or anything like my creepy grapes guy story. And he's like, so are you and he said my dad's name, are you his wife? And I was like, no, I'm his daughter. And he's like, oh, that's right, that's right. I'm just like, that's the second time, guys. The second time that someone has gotten me confused as my father's wife. My father obviously looks like he's 40 years old, 50 years old. I don't think I look like I'm that old. Anyways, thanks so much for watching, guys. See you next time. Bye.